What's up? What's up? What's up? What does it do? Welcome back to After the Snap. I'm your host, Tasha Pierce. And this is Sunday, so that means it's Stream Something Sunday. And the things that we stream have been Star Trek Prodigy, Star Wars Book of Boba Fett, and we usually just like a loose conversation about Peacemaker, nothing too structured. Just keep in mind that anything that we talk about today is going to be spoilerific, spoilers all over the place. So, keeping that in mind, just in case you wanted to watch these things before you hear this discussion, I'm just going to drop spoilers everywhere, all over the place, and we're going to discuss what we think is going to happen next. We usually start with the Book of Boba Fett. That's not going to be any different today. I'm going to wait to see who we get to trickle in and be ready to start in just a minute. I'm also going to be very, very interested in knowing what you're watching. I watched some extra stuff off of our regular itinerary this week that I might want to share. See if you guys would like to watch that too. Let me see what our comments is looking like. Hi, Thomas. How are you today? And Lysandra, what it do, sis? So yeah, there were some shows that I watched that were off the beaten path. Other than the stuff that we normally watch around here, I'm gonna share that with you in the what we're watching segment. We're gonna start things off with the Book of Boba Fett because gosh darn. Gosh darn. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Thomas. I am so glad to hear that. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, and this is the second episode of the Book of Boba Fett that they ain't had much to do with Boba Fett. I'm wondering if, and I think I wondered this out loud last week too. I'm wondering if these are episodes that were supposed to be episodes of The Mandalorian that they kind of just shoehorned them into this Book of Boba Fett series. I don't know, but it's an awful lot of other characters being explored other than Boba Fett. In fact, Boba Fett showed up in this episode and he really didn't even say much. So that was one thing. I guess it ain't nothing wrong with it because it turns out to be a pretty good episode. And the episode is called From the Desert Comes a Stranger. Yeah, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. I got some beef with some of my regulars here because y'all should have warned me about something, but we'll get to that as well. Let me go ahead and let's start looking at some photos and stuff. So, Book of Boba Fett, this thing started with Cobb Vanth, who we haven't seen since God. What episode of The Mandalorian was that? It's been a while since we've seen Cobb Vanth. He is out there confronting some spice runners, some Pykes, and he basically gave them the option to leave, and they basically didn't want to. He had them leave the spice behind. Well, the one that he left alive, because he popped off 3 of them real quick. Actually, he popped off 3 of them with 2 shots, and he left one alive to go back and tell the syndicate, you're not welcome in these parts of Freetown. So now he don't know that he might have just started some beef. That's going to come back around towards the end of the episode. We also pick up with Djarin Mandalorian. He, of course, had it in his mind that he was going to visit Grogu. And so he goes to this planet where Grogu is being trained by none other than Luke freaking Skywalker. And now this time with Luke Skywalker, the first time we saw him was at the end of the Mandalorian season 2 finale. He came through and wrecked shop looking just like his daddy. But in this time, he looked a whole lot better because he was kind of frightening the first time. His face was pretty expressionless and he was kind of scary. This time they were able to, with the help of a YouTuber who actually does deep fake videography, they were able to put a little bit more life in his face. And I think that worked out very well. So you can tell me in the chat what you thought about Luke and his looks this time around, because the first time around, scary, the stuff of nightmares. But we see the Cobb Vanth, or we got past Cobb Vanth. We're now with Mando on whatever this planet is, and he's talking to R2D2. He wants to know where he could talk with, how he can speak with Luke Skywalker. But we see these ant droids, and they're building some structures. If you remember, oh, Angus, what it do? You said you upset with Luke's teaching style. His teaching style looks just like what Yoda did with him. But I'm gonna get to that in just a second, because I do want to ask y'all about these ant droids. Is this something that is new to this particular series, or have we seen these droids before? And don't tell me about the animation. I mean, tell me if it is in the animation, but I haven't watched any of the animated Star Wars stuff. But I did know that what they're building looks like the structures that were part of Jedi Academy. We also had Ahsoka Tano drop that a great school was going to be built there. So this does look like, much like what Clarence deduced last week, that we are going to be there. There's going to be some type of Jedi Academy kind of, not a crossover, but it is going to be something that would be part of what was going on this planet. So now we see next Grogu. All the androids are new. Okay. So I'm not far behind this time. We see Grogu and Luke meditating. This is where Grogu tries to meditate up his frog and drop it in his mouth, but Luke told him showed him that you can do far more than one frog with the Force. It looked like Grogu was very surprised that Luke had that much control over the environment around him. So that was cute. He also, Luke, he also asked Grogu, does he remember his past? How am I getting one step ahead all the time? Well, Luke tells Grogu that you remind me of somebody. And he goes on to tell him about Yoda. He asked Grogu, do you remember your past? Grogu kind of got a sad look on his face, but it didn't seem like he knew, he remembered. It didn't seem like he remembered much about his past, but Luke is going to drag that out of him, and we'll get to that in a second. Angus said a baby Yoda can't meditate on an empty stomach. It looks like Yoda, all he wants to do is eat. Man, all he wants to do is eat. But I guess you're right. He's a growing Yoda, whatever they are. And Thomas is seconding your emotion. So we move on. Djarin while he's waiting to see Luke, he meets, or he reconnects with Ahsoka Tano. Now Ahsoka is telling him, hey, you being here is a problem with Grogu's learning, because he's trying to detach from you, and when he sees you, he's going, the reattachment is going to occur. Basically, you're making it hard for him just by being here. But then it's like, I really just want to check on the kid, and I got a gift for him. So that was a good conversation. You also see Ahsoka call herself an old friend of the family. And although I haven't watched any of the animated stuff, I do know that Ahsoka has a very special connection with Anakin Skywalker. You said Ahsoka was the right choice to run interference. Yeah, they already have I guess a relationship with one another, Din Djarin and Ahsoka. And she also has she's trusted by Luke as well. So yeah, I guess so. Let's see. Now, I don't know why I have this in this order, but this is where Din Djarin is looking over and he can see Grogu from a distance, and he wants to go and talk to him, and he's like he's right there. But Ahsoka talks him out of it. He does leave the gift. We will find out later that the gift is the armor that he had made by the armorer, but we actually see it's that chainmail kind of jersey that he had made for baby Grogu. In the meantime, this is where we're going to see Luke pull those memories out of Yoda's head. Oh, not Yoda. Gosh, out of Grogu's head. And the memories were horrific. What he sees is gosh, what he sees is the Jedi. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? I lost my place, y'all. Oh, we see him. Um, we see them come together with this Jedi purge. Oh, let me see. You got something here, Angus. Ahsoka is not a Jedi. She left the Order when she realized how toxic the Order was. Okay, I thought she was trained by Anakin, but I guess he rescued her from the Order. Clear that up for me, because, like I said, I am missing. I got some gaps in my understanding from not watching the shows that she was introduced on. So yeah, we see that this is where the night of the Jedi purge, and I'm looking at the photo, and I think I'll make it a little bigger for you guys. I'm looking at it because the point of view is from Grogu, but exactly where is he as he's watching these Jedi take on these clone troopers? I don't know. I don't know where he might be hiding, but this might have been traumatic for him. I don't know if he associates those lightsabers with this is something that I want because I saw them defending themselves with him with these against these clone troopers, or would he be thinking I don't want any part of these lightsabers because they weren't enough to beat the clone troopers? I'm not sure what's going on in his head, but this would be a horrific thing for a little person to see. And I kind of felt bad for him. He kind of looked helpless um, as he watched this going on around him. Then we see Luke kind of mirror his training that he had with Yoda. He's doing the same or similar things with Grogu. Now, I thought that it was cute, and I thought that this is the way he knows to train. But Angus, it seems like you've got a different opinion. So let me know what you thought, why you didn't like Luke's training of Grogu in this situation. Okay, you said Ahsoka was a totally Anakin's Padawan, but a few months before Order 66, she was framed for some shit and eventually got cleared. But in the aftermath, her heart was no longer in it. Okay, makes sense. So she never fully became a Jedi. But yeah, she's fully Jedi trained, but she's not a Jedi. I get it. I get it. So yeah, um, another part or another thing that kind of stood out to me is that Luke called himself saying he was training Grogu, but he also said it seems like he was remembering training from the past. So has has Grogu already been trained to use the Force? Now we know that he was Force sensitive and he was able to tap into the Force even when he was with Djarin. But has he already had Jedi training? Because it's even perplexing to Luke how much of the stuff that he can pick up and how quickly he picks these things up. Um, Angus said Luke's rushing Grogu's training and forcing the choice way too soon. Grogu has trauma, deep trauma. That trauma needs to be healed first. But then, okay, so that goes back to like what I was just saying. Luke seems to think that it is possible that Grogu has already been trained, that Grogu has or had already at least begun training. He's like, it's not me training him, it's more like he's remembering how to do the things that I'm showing him. So had the choice already been made? Like, because Grogu is force sensitive, you automatically assume, oh, well, if he should be trained to be a Jedi. What if his choice was, I don't want to be a Jedi no more. Now I want to do something different. And the something different that he's probably thinking of is Mando. And the reason why is because every situation they got themselves into, Mando was able to get them out of. But the first experience or bad experience that he had with the Jedi, they weren't able to get themselves out of it. I think Grogu is thinking at a higher at a higher competency than we give him credit for because he's so small. They also know that Djarin has been there. Um, Luke knows and Grogu knows that Djarin had been to this planet. So Ahsoka tells Luke that that's when they have the conversation about uh, he believes that Grogu knows a little bit more about the Force than they're giving him credit for. You said Grogu was born the same year as Anakin, so he was 20-ish during Order 66, but he ages so slowly. Right. But that's what I'm saying. He was around with Anakin. He was in his 20s, same time Anakin was. By him witnessing the Jedi purge and feeling maybe in his little mind, because we can't get in there just yet. In his little mind, did he feel like the Jedi were helpless against the clone troopers? They were purged. It's a smattering of Jedi left. But Mando, one Mandalorian, was able to rescue them through all these different trials that they had been through while they were together. Do you think that he's making the choice? I would rather be with Mando. Okay, you're saying Yoda had to rush Luke's training because the time was short, but time is not short with Grogu. And then there's another thing that kind of stood out to me that Ahsoka said. She said she could have trained Grogu, but she's not going to try to make somebody do something that they don't want to do. Speaking about Luke, because Luke had already said he wanted to train him. I'm wondering if Luke himself is just not mentally prepared to be training Grogu. You know what I mean? Luke decided, Luke made the choice, I'm going to be the one to train him. And then he just went and began the training just like Yoda did with him. He's doing the exact same regimen. And again, we don't even know how long he's been there either. That's another thing. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm gonna get to that in I guess I'm here pretty much because I'm gonna go into what happened in Freetown, but we can do that on the other side. I said that last week that I believe that there was going to have to be a choice because Grogu had never been given a choice. They just sent him with Luke. I think that now that he's faced with the choice, yeah, he will definitely choose the armor over the weapon. And I also can see him getting the dark saber, because he's already, and this is my thinking. I don't know if you're thinking along the same lines. I believe that he's already been trained. He's not a fully trained Jedi, but he has already been trained enough to use the Force. I really believe that he knows more than what we are seeing him put into practice. I think he knows far more than what we're giving him credit for, and I do believe that he's going to choose the armor and he's going to wield that dark saber. Oh yeah, and that's right too. The Padawans usually do make their own lightsabers, and that's the only part of him getting that dark saber that I'm not 100% sure about, Angus, is the size of the weapon, because even Yoda's lightsaber was smaller than a normal sized Jedi. Um, would he be able to wield it because of his small stature? That is the only problem that I have with him getting that lightsaber, that dark saber. Then we see Boba finally. After Grogu is, well, this was before he was faced with the choice. After Djarin leaves the planet, he goes and he talks to Boba. They're having a meeting with the mods, with Fennec, with the Black Chrysanthemum, and then Mando shows up. This is it for Boba in this episode. We don't see him anymore, and the plan is, we just don't have enough foot soldiers. There are not enough of the mods. The muscle would be Chrysanthemum and Mando. We need some more foot soldiers. And Mando says, well, I think I know where I can find help. And this is when he goes and visits Freetown and talks to Cobb Vanth. It sounds as if Cobb Vanth is going to put this to a vote in his community to see if they even want to get involved in this battle on Tatooine. Let me see and pick you up here. You said in the Star Wars role-playing games, there are a variety of lightsaber types, including a single-bladed, two-handed, long lightsabers. Grogu could wield the dark saber. So, okay, so that's another thing. I can, if there is precedent for him to be able to hold that thing, I don't have no problem. I think I'm going on record today thinking he takes the armor and that he ends up not only wielding this dark saber, but being able to control it far better than we saw with Paz Vizsla or even with Mando. So hopefully we right. Hopefully we are right. But yeah, so Cobb Vanth is going to put it to his people as a vote. Do you guys want to help or not? It seems like the bartender is kind of thinking for them, saying we don't want to get involved because that's city problems and we are out here, we don't have anything to do with that. And unfortunately he's wrong, because the Pike Syndicate have already gotten word that Cobb Vanth has basically threatened their route going through Freetown. So they're going to send their man out. And I'm mad at y'all for not even telling me that this thing is even possible. Because when I saw this image coming up, I was like, oh, it's another bounty hunter coming. Then as it got closer, I'm like, now who the hell is this? And then I saw this and this, and that is the shit of nightmares. Nobody told me that something this excruciatingly horrifying was even possible. I had never seen or heard of Cad Bane. This thing scared me. This is a freaking monster. And he is every bad guy in every Western that I ever watched. So yeah, you guys let me down. I should have been told that this thing could be even possible. And then, did you all know that the minute you saw that other deputy, that he was not going to survive to the end of this episode? Oh gosh! And you saying he is okay? We got Cad mother effing Bane, and you said he's scary good at his job in the cartoons. It looks like he's kind of scary good at it right now in the live action version. Yeah, that is Nightmare Fodder. Gosh. And then I don't know a lot about him, so of course I watched the video, and someone was saying that whatever this apparatus is around his face and going towards his back, they say that he doesn't even need that to breathe or whatever. He only got it like that so he can't be force choked. Thomas said, "Look, it's a picture of the Nazis in Star Trek Enterprise." And Angus said he doesn't lose against Jedi. Yeah, that, you know what though, Thomas? It does kind of remind me of those ugly characters too. This thing right here is just freaking horrifying to me though. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I almost lost my breakfast. So Cad Bane comes, and there's this shootout between him and the marshal, and he outshot the marshal and he shot the deputy, which of course I just said. I thought that the deputy was not going to survive the end of this episode. But did you notice when Cad Bane walked away after he dropped his ultimatum? This place is safe as long as the spice keeps a running. So he dropped his ultimatum, and then he goes off, and everybody went to help the marshal, and nobody even attended to the deputy. So I was like, okay, so they knew he was going to die too. They knew that there was no chance that he was going to survive either. You said it does, right? Yes, this thing is, gosh. And Angus is giving me some history on this character. His race is Duros, and they don't live so long. They don't live so long as humans. But even so, Cad Bane is 71 years old. Cad Bane is old as hell, but he ain't slow. He sure put that thing on the marshal. And as far as I was concerned, like, he told him first, you should have kept your armor, but I hadn't seen the marshal lose in a little shootout, and he took him down easily. So I guess it was just to let us know that Cad Bane is the man around his mother. So this episode again is a 5-star episode of The Mandalorian. Well, this one, we won't even call this one The Mandalorian. This is just Star Wars. Very little Boba Fett. Let's talk for a minute about what we think is going to happen moving forward. Let's just put our predictions out there. I've already told you partial predictions for me, and that's as far as Grogu is concerned. I don't know if Grogu is going to end up in or assisting in the battle with Mando and in their little makeshift army. Yeah, I knew they weren't gonna kill Cobb Vanth. I knew that he wasn't gone anywhere. But yeah, the deputy is dead. The deputy is dead. So yeah, I believe the people. I believe the people of Freetown, now that their marshal has been injured, they are going to decide to join the army, join the fight. So the army just got that much bigger, and that's all. Every man, woman, and child of fighting age, they are going to be involved in the fight. I don't know. I know that Grogu is going to choose the armor. Will he then be dropped off to Mando, or will Mando be contacted and they say, hey, come get your kid. He wants to transfer out of our school or what. But I believe if we introduce Grogu into the fight is over. The fight is over. I agree with you, Angus. Some Pykes are gonna die. Yes, they got to. Of course, we're going to see Boba Fett ride the Rancor. He should be able to ride it real well for as long as it had been since we've seen him in his own show. He should be able to ride that Rancor now. So that Rancor is going to give them an edge. But I think the biggest edge is going to be Grogu coming in with that dark saber, wrecking shop, and then he somehow becomes the rightful leader of Mandalore. At least I hope that's the way it goes. That's my prediction of what I think is going to happen. If you got something different, or if you agree, put it in the chat. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear it so we could come back to it and us and just see how close we were with our little fan fictions. And before I push forward and move on to something else, the something else being Star Trek Prodigy, I want to know what you watching. So what are you watching? If you got a show or a movie or anything that you want to recommend to the rest of the group, put it in the chat. Give us your elevator pitch for why you think we should watch what you're watching. I've got a couple things. Thing number one, I'm not saying you should watch it. I'm saying I did watch it. So the one thing that I did watch was that show on Netflix, The Woman, Star Trek Prodigy. You're giving us Star Trek Prodigy. We watching that for sure. And other people, if you're in this audience and you have not started Star Trek Prodigy, do whatever you can to get to that series, because it's billed as a kid's series, but it is so fantastically done that anybody can get into it. It will take you back and kind of harkens back to the old school stuff. And I don't have a problem with any of the new series, but this just, if it feels really, really grounded in the old school stuff. And I really like Star Trek Prodigy. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Thomas. I watched that show, The Woman Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. I don't even know the name of the doggone thing, but it's a long title and it is on Netflix. It's a series, and each one of the episodes is about 30 minutes long. And I think it's 8 episodes, so you can get through that in like 4 hours out of your day. It wasn't fantastic. I kind of figured it out, like the mystery behind the thing, but it wasn't a waste of those 4 hours. So I will recommend to watch that. Thomas got another one for me. Thomas said, I've also been on a Stargate kick. You know what? I just looked at that. I just looked and I was like, I should start Stargate again. So I might do that, Thomas. Thanks for putting that in there for me. And my nephew's in the house. Ty Harris said, I heard about that show. I was going to check it out. Prodigy, check it out. Check it out. And then you let me know what you think of it. I really enjoy it. And I got it's a whole bunch of grown folks in here who are really enjoying Prodigy. The animation is beautiful. We're going to be talking about that next. So if you want to know how the mid-season ends, because we're at the mid-season finale for Star Trek Prodigy. So there are 10 episodes for you to go back and take a look at, Josh. Yeah. And thank you for being here. What else? I watched what was the name of that show? Tinder Swindler. So the Tinder Swindler it's like a true crime documentary. And if you want to get mad at how people can get sucked in by a person that they meet on one of these dating sites, this will be for you. First of all, the man who was doing the swindling is insanely handsome. So I'm like, what the hell does he even need this dating site for? Then they're saying not only is he insanely handsome, but he is quote unquote a billionaire. And he swindles these women out of millions of dollars. I'm going to leave it at that. If you watch it, please let me know what you think of the Tinder Swindler, because it really like kind of threw me. Like, how do you get taken like that for that kind of ride? So anyway, that was another thing. And of course, I have picked back up on Raised by Wolves. This is season 2. I think I'm on episode 2. I haven't gotten too far in it. Yeah, I haven't gotten too far in Raised by Wolves yet, but I that one is kind of a thinker for me, so I kind of slowly watch Raised by Wolves. Of course, I'm gonna always push Euphoria and the Peacemaker series. I don't have a whole lot prepared for the Peacemaker series, so I'm not gonna talk long about that one. Um we can talk about it. Lysandra has thrown out Love Lives Here. Now, where can they watch it, Lysandra? Yeah, but I don't have a lot prepared for Peacemaker because we haven't all been on the same page about Peacemaker. I really do like the series. Um, you said Jag. I don't think I remember Jag. That is that the one with oh gosh, what is his name? Is that are they in the military? Is that a like a naval show or something like that? I haven't watched it, but I think I've heard of it. Thomas. Oh, okay. Love Lives Here is on Tubi. That's the one you said you watched 3 times. So she really liked Love Lives Here. So yeah. Okay, Thomas. I've heard of it, but I don't think I ever watched it. That is that a good one? And where can you watch it? So yeah. Well, I'm gonna push on to our next topic in just a second here, because what I'm gonna do is give the entire synopsis of part 2 of A Moral Star for Star Trek Prodigy, and then we're gonna discuss this thing because I really and truly enjoyed this episode of Prodigy. That one is on Paramount Plus as well. Okay, doke. So Jag on Paramount Plus, and then also The Cleaner on Tubi. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all suggestions. Some of them are familiar, and others I had never heard of until you guys talked about it. So might have to give it a look. I'm gonna go ahead and read this synopsis real quick, and then we'll go into Star Trek Prodigy. Uh, the crew The crew turns the miners' ankle monitors into universal translators, allowing them to band together. Dreadnought is destroyed, but not before he transmits the core's location to the diviner, who beams it aboard the protostar and departs. He reveals to Gwyn that he is from the future, sent back in time to prevent the destruction of his people after their planet broke out in civil war following first contact with Starfleet. He has a virus on the protostar that will corrupt the computer systems of any Starfleet vessels that they meet. Dal and Zero arrive, and Zero reveals their true form to the diviner, driving him mad. Gwyn sees Zero's reflection in Dal's comm badge and passes out, losing her memory of the previous few hours. The miners set off in the diviner's ship to find new lives, while the diviner is left in exile on Tars Lamora. Meanwhile, the crew of the Protostar get set out for Federation space, where the real Janeway, now in command of the USS Dauntless, tracks the Protostar with the goal of finding Chakotay. So yeah, that was what this episode promised to be about. Um, oh, Angus says he got issues with Prodigy. I've got one, and I guess we can talk about it, because the one issue, if we want to talk about issues right off the top, the one issue that I had with this episode of Prodigy, this being the mid-season finale, is the diviner's plan. If the diviner wanted that ship to get to the Federation, once he found out that the kids were going to the Federation, why didn't he just let them go? Why did he have to be the person in control of the ship if the only thing he wanted was for the ship to end up at Starfleet? Because his plan is, if this virus gets into get them, if they get close to another Starfleet vessel, this virus activates and it will turn those two ships against one another. So if the ship was headed to Federation, to Starfleet headquarters, now you've got a virus on a ship. It can be turned against all the ships in the Federation. So as it appears right now, it's only going to affect the first ship they come in contact with, and that is the Dauntless. Well, it is set up for us to believe that the first Federation ship that they come in contact with will be the Dauntless, and that one is helmed by the real Catherine Janeway. That's my big problem, though. His plan, all the way up until the point where he had to be the person flying it, his plan was solid all the way up until that point to me. But at that point, yes, things went a little bit off the rails for me, just for me. In the meantime, and in between time, let's look at some of the beautiful visuals from Star Trek Prodigy. You said the diviner may not have been convinced that they were heading for the Federation, or his virus may not have been complete without first accessing the protostar. I can see that. I can see that because, well, no, I can't. I can't see it because at the end of it all, they had the ship. By the time the diviner got on the protostar, they had already rigged it up. They had already rigged up ways to keep him out. They had already upgraded Janeway's program. All of these things had already happened. I would think that the virus would have had to already been on the ship. I could be wrong in my understanding, though. I could be. But yeah, we got the diviner. And this is when he said, we got to go back. We got to start a catch. So, wait a minute. Let me see. Now, I don't know if I'm understanding. It was creepy that Chakotay's holographic interface had Janeway's looks and sounds. I don't know if I'm understanding. And then Thomas said, but remember, it's the captain's Kobayashi Maru. So it was a no-win situation. Okay, you said, but then the diviner lost the ship and was searching for it furiously. It was right there. He knew where. Did he not know where it was? Oh gosh, you said they can't think of everything. Right. And that's what I'm saying. The show to me has been fantastic. I don't have a huge problem, especially since it's a children's show. The fact that I'm this invested, where now I'm nitpicking it the way I would nitpick this Discovery, is amazing to me, because I'm like, I didn't think I would be this into this show. It is fantastic. It was fantastic. We see Rock Talk save the day because she was the person who was able to get the Rev 12's engine started for them to use that ship to get away with. And it wasn't just her strength, it was her using what she learned during that time, during the Time Amok episode, when she learned everything that you could possibly know about a starship. So I thought that was cute, and it was a good callback. Not that far of a callback, but it was a good callback to what she learned. And okay, that's the same instance. I just like Rock Talk, I think. I like the fact that Dow used his ingenuity to use a comm badge to link it to those ankle monitors and make it so that everybody could communicate with one another. Oh, excuse me. Um, You said if you think back to the first episode, the protostar was hidden in the asteroid and the prisoners were mining for something. That's something being the prize, the protostar. See, I thought they were mining for a chimerium because the chimerium is something that they were using to cloak ships. And that it would be a commodity. I thought he knew that the ship was down there. So fortunately for me, it's a 10 episode run, and each one was what, like a half an hour. So yeah, I could put together 5 hours and rewatch rewatch the series. And you said Rock Talk is the engineer now. She is. But I also liked that Dow was able to jury rig those that universal translator. And then this is when they saw the ship coming. That was the diviner making his return. Right after he made his return, this thing, Dreadnought, comes down, and I guess he thought he was just gonna gangster everybody. Like, because he had been running the whole asteroid, messing with those kids. But this time those kids messed with him. I really like the little Cation, the little girl. I'm like, what is she, Wolverine, when she took those nails out and chopped his head off, which was a little bit more than I thought that I would ever see in this child's movie. She put her paws on him legitimately. I've got a theory for that, even, Angus. The appearance of older Janeway as an admiral means that the dates are off. We're not in season 3 of Next Generation. We're well after Voyager's return to the Alpha Quadrant. Well, we were there anyway. Okay, so let me see. What's her name? Gwyn was born in 2366. That's when we were in that Next Generation era. So we were 17 years past that. So that at this point now in this series, we're in 2383, which is still after Voyager came back from the Delta Quadrant. But I still think that this is an alternate timeline, that it's not the same timeline as the events that we know for certain happen in Voyager. But I do this where we are right now in the series, the year should be right around 2383. You said, why didn't the miners join the crew? They had already established that ship did not have enough room to take all of the miners at once. Now, I don't know. I really hope, because they keep putting a lot of focus on this little Cation, I really hope that we're going to see her again, and I hope that we're going to see her join Starfleet. And then you said, Thomas says, I think we're in Endgame. You said it has to be after Endgame. Yes, it does. And Angus, you're saying, oh, now I don't know. Don't quote me on the alternate timeline. That's a theory, but the part about this being 2383, it is that's what year we're in. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of, what is this, Lurian? We're seeing a lot of Murn's people in each series. We've gotten another look at a Lurian. So I thought that was a something worth mentioning as well. Now this is where Janeway pulls the little switcheroo. She says she's going to throw Gwyn in the brig, when in actuality Janeway was working undercover. She was part of the double cross on the diviner. And then we see Janeway actually put her hands, literally hologram Janeway puts her hands on a diviner. Now, as I was watching them go at each other, she didn't fight, she didn't put up a fight offensively. Every move she did was a defensive move. And then she pulled the tube out of his yeah, she got real upgrades, Thomas. She got real upgrades. Was he dying? Was the diviner dying when she pulled that tube out of him? Because I was like, now that's dark. That of course everything that she was doing was in response to moves that he was making. She was just defending herself, but she not only defended herself, she snatched that tube out, and he was on the ground looking like he was gasping for his last breath, and she just stood there. She didn't try to help him. So I was like, yeah, this Janeway or hologram Janeway is a beast. And I was wondering what was going to happen with him. And gosh, the way he got left on that planet, I would have hated to have been left like that. But we'll move on. We got our first look at Solo. This is their home world, and he said is as it looks today. So in 2383, their home world was still very much intact. He was trying to prevent something that happened 50 years in the future from happening. Oh, yeah. I got you, Angus. He said that tube is life sustaining but reparable. It was a distraction that the diviner could not afford to ignore. He sure couldn't, because he was about to check out. He was about to check out. But this is the first time Gwyn got to lay eyes on the home world. So that was a good moment, and the home world was beautiful. And then we saw what happened after first contact from the Federation. The Federation comes, they have first contact, and then the inhabitants of Solum were split, were divided on whether or not they wanted to become an interplanetary species, and they went into civil war. That destroyed their planet. Oops, I went back. I need to go back to there, because I don't want to get ahead. I want to get this message, this comment. You said the first contact team dropped the ball on their assessment of that culture. Yeah, but if the culture had to decide whether or not they were going to be a spacefaring culture, or whether or not they were going to explore the stars, they shouldn't have had first contact anyway, should they? I'm not sure. I could have been reading what was said wrong in this episode, but I'm like, yeah, they probably shouldn't have made first contact with them at all. But even if I'm wrong, it really was like, we don't know. You don't know what's going to happen with until second contact, when your lower decks crew comes and and visits the planet. But the first contact team, yeah, there was something going on. Something was wrong, because either they should have never made first contact, or they really didn't evaluate whether this civilization was ready. Okay, you said first contact comes with the advent of warp drive. That culture was heading out to the stars. So we heading out to the stars though, but we're not warp capable. I mean, I'm talking about us right now, where we are right now. We're heading out to the stars. We're not warp capable. So they wouldn't, if theoretically they wouldn't have a first contact with us just because we're going out to the stars. But my question also is, okay, wait a minute, I've lost it. I've lost it. Oh, they said that they thought they were the only species. They didn't think there was anything besides them. So were they warp capable? And if they were, why would they believe that they were alone in the universe? That was my other. These are just questions. This wasn't my nitpick. My nitpick was the diviner's plan. Now, I'm glad that we got to see Zero, the power of the Medusan, be used in this type of way. I actually thought this was a bit dark, though. I'm like, so the Medusan shows his true form, and then the diviner loses his freaking mind, and they just left him. Like, how is he gonna eat? Is he gonna just sit there and starve to death? What's really going on? How is I've never seen Starfleet do something like that. That was a little dark to me as well. And then, you said it was the diviners faction that rebelled. That faction may have been religious, but they would have been against any war program in the first place. Yeah, so that yeah, it's some questions, and hopefully we get a little bit more answers. But I honestly believe that the diviners arc is pretty much over. Now it's going to be I've got a quote, and I'm going to find it and read it for you guys in just a second here. I think I might have closed it. I'll find it and read it for you. I got a quote from the Hagemans and what they were talking about. Okay, so Thomas, you're saying the same thing that Angus is, that the diviner started that civil war, and then he was just on the he was part of the reason that the planet got destroyed the way it did. Oh, okay. You said the other faction would have been like, we can't be alone and we're going to go look. And he didn't want to know whether or not they were alone. But then the first contact happened. So, yeah. And you said what destroyed their civilization was that civil war. Yeah. So I get what you're saying. Now, we see Gwyn right here with a Star Trek staple, which is a cortical stimulator. After she caught just a glimpse of Zero um, in the reflection of the comm badge, it drove her just a little teensy weensy, itsy bitsy bit mad. And, she has this cortical stimulator, and her short term memory has been affected. So she can't tell them that this virus is on the ship. She can't tell them because she doesn't remember. And that is bad news because after everybody is all happy to have her back, we see this. And first and foremost, the first thing that we saw on the USS Dauntless was that trill. And she has a name, and I just looked and saw what her name was. Oh, she did say it, but she couldn't remember the rest of it. You're right, Thomas. When they went right after she looked in the badge, she was like, "We can't go, we can't go, we can't go." But she never told them what she was talking about because she doesn't remember now. Random Trill, she got a name. I just saw it, and I can't. I should have written it down. I can't remember what it is. She's got a name though, and also that we'll get to it in just a second. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you. Excuse me. And then we see the navigation board and all of this stuff on the USS Dauntless, and then we got our girl. We got our girl Janeway, Vice Admiral Janeway, and she is in charge of the Dauntless, and they are going to find Chakotay. That's what her promise was. In the background, this with me and you gonna have to really chat this one up, Angus. So remind me if I don't look like I'm coming back to this comment. Remind me. And that reveal it was a good reveal, Thomas. And we see in the background we got an Andorian and we have a Tellarite. Now, there's a difference between this Tellarite And okay, I saw your comment, Thomas. There's a difference between this Tellarite and Jankum Pog. And the big difference is this Tellarite has 5 fingers. Jankum Pog only has 3. And I'm wondering if these are there different types of Tellarite? Why would there be such a big difference in the same show between 2 characters of the same species? So that was something that kind of stood out. What made me think that there's something going on, there's something wonky happening here. And Thomas says he thinks Chakotay is Murph. I hope not. I really do, because there should be a crew. It should be Chakotay and a crew of people. And going back up to Angus, I didn't forget. Going back up here, you said, where's Chakotay now? I don't know. And why did he have a Janeway hologram on his ship? The Janeway hologram, I thought, was a training hologram, which would mean that the crew of his ship was likely cadets. But that still doesn't explain where Chakotay is. Still is not telling us what happened. Okay, now I'm gonna put my glasses on because you got a longer, I can't see, and you got a longer comment here. Let me see. Naval tradition has it that an admiral doesn't captain a ship. There should be a proper captain that runs the ship while taking orders from the admiral. And then Thomas says, the only reason I say that is because the captain never leaves the ship, and they found Murph on the ship. You're right, they did. I didn't never think, I would have never thought about that, but they did. The captain would have, if something went down, the captain would have been the last person to leave the ship, and there was nobody on the ship but Murph. That's weird. Oh gosh. We got 10 episodes coming in the fall. We'll figure it out, I guess. Now that as far as naval tradition goes, Angus, I'm aware of the tradition. We are aware of the tradition. Will some kids really be? And I mean, I know they made a very conscious decision when they decided to use Janeway, but I don't know if I don't know if it would matter to a younger audience. And you said that the protostar has an NX designation. That makes it an experimental vessel. You don't use cadets for that. But then they have a training hologram on a ship that's an NX designation. Why would you have that? Because she refers to herself as not just like a hologram. She calls herself a training hologram. So you would have to have somebody who needed to be trained to need the training hologram. I don't know. It could just simply be creative decisions, or we could learn more in these final 10 episodes that we're going to have to wait probably half a year for. And then there was the Dauntless. I gave this one a 4.75 stars because of the nitpicks that I had with it. And then the Dauntless also was a ship that was an imaginary ship in an episode of Voyager. And they took those specs. This is how we definitely know where we are on the timeline, because they took the specs of the Dauntless from that episode of Voyager, and they used it and developed this ship. You're right, though. Yeah, she was tapped into. She was all messed up. So that her memories and logs were whack. She might have assumed the position of trainer. And that is possible too, because she was tampered with. She didn't have all of her memory function, because she didn't even remember that there was a transporter on the ship. So that's an issue too. Thomas, you said you could talk about Star Trek all day. You in the right place there, sir, because this is what we do on Sundays, and it's a bunch of thinking. Like, like what we're doing. We usually have there's one more like really knowledgeable Trekkie. I guess two more really knowledgeable Trekkies that are part of our little group too. But yeah, it's been fun having you here today, sir. But yeah, so that episode where the Dauntless showed up in Voyager, it was a fake ship. Uh, they used the specs of that ship to build this ship, and they were pretty true to the configuration of it. But there was something I wanted to share, and I'm going to find it so that I can share that with you guys. Um, let's see. I cannot remember where it was. But I'm gonna find it. You said it, the Dauntless isn't the ugliest ship, but it ain't winning on the catwalk. I hope that we find that it's more function than beauty for it. Yeah. Let's see. So in an interview, um, the Hagemans were asked. Let me see. It says a Moral Star Part 2 ends with the real Janeway on the Dauntless, set to track down the Protostar, determined to find out what happened to Chakotay. And what are you guys thinking about the people that are kind of saying, oh, they must have gotten married. Janeway and Chakotay must have gotten married, and that's why she's looking for him. What do you think about that? But while I read you guys this. So this is the setup as Kevin Hageman explains it. Admiral Janeway tracking down a protostar a la The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. She's going to be this wonderful force coming after the protostar wanting answer. Who's flying it? Where is Chakotay? Kevin Hageman also adds that the protostar kids are in way over their heads. Now they've got the real Admiral Janeway coming, but she's not going to be the mentor. She's going to be after them, hunting them down. So it sounds to me, of course, like there is not going to be any mercy if she finds these kids on the ship and she doesn't find Chakotay. You said this might be how Chakotay died in Voyager. Oh, I forgot about that timeline. But I did forget about the timeline, Thomas, that she did go back in time because Chakotay she didn't want to deal with the losses, even though that was effed up, but she did. So what do you think about her coming after this ship when she goes after the protostar? She's going out after it with the full might of the Federation. One of their ship, I think it has a slipstream. What kind of drive is on that ship, Angus? You remember slipstream drive on the Dauntless? So yeah, I'm thinking the minute her ship comes close to the protostar virus is going to kick in and it's going to fire on her ship, and then there's going to be a little mini war between her Dauntless and the protostar, until she realizes that the protostar is being helmed by some children. But then we still got the question of where is Chakotay and his original crew? Where are they? Oh, you don't remember it either. I don't know if it was a slipstream. Last night I was watching. Oh gosh, I was watching The Next Generation. I should have been watching Voyager episodes. Let's see here. It says the USS Dauntless was an alien starship disguised as a Federation Dauntless class starship that was in service to Starfleet in the late 24th century. Allegedly, quantum slipstream. Okay. Mm, that is something. So it's a pretty fast ship as well. It's not as fast as, of course, the Protostar or Discovery, but it's a pretty fast ship. Let me see. I've gotten wrapped up in what this ship has. Let's see, it's intrigued by the drive's possibilities and its promise of a faster trip home. The Dauntless was minimalist by other Starfleet standards. It only has one transporter, no replicators, no holodecks or shuttlecraft. Wow. But yeah, it turned out that that was the original one was an alien ship anyway, the one that we saw in Voyager. So yeah, that's all I've got today. Besides Peacemaker, I did enjoy this week's episode. Uh, I didn't enjoy it as much as the previous ones. I enjoyed it. What was it called? The Murn after reading. I liked it. It wasn't the best one so far, but it is pushing the story along. Yeah, Angus, I agree. The no replicator part, because that's where Janeway was saying, and I need to look and see what episode that was so I can rewatch it. Which episode was it? Uh, and they said that the crew had been assimilated. Anyway, Hope and Fear. Hope and Fear. I'm gonna watch that episode just to see if anything else stands out to me. Because I remember Janeway saying that good thing they had Neelix because he was gonna have to cook because they didn't have no replicators. But the rest of this stuff, I didn't realize that the transporters were minimal. No holodecks, no shuttlecraft. Yeah, and okay, 426. You just made it even easier for me. I remember the name. I mean, I wrote down the name, but this is easier. Episode 4. I mean, season 4, episode 26. I am going to watch that as soon as we get done here. And then Thomas is seconding that. But yeah, we had some good stuff to talk about. Oh, and that Peacemaker episode, I'm not gonna go into it beat by beat. I did enjoy it. I'll give that one probably a 3.75. It wasn't quite a 4 for me, but it wasn't a bad episode. So if you guys are still following along with Peacemaker, the series hasn't been disappointing. It has not been disappointing. We did talk a little bit yesterday, Angus and I. Was that me? Yeah, it had to have been me and you. We were talking about what they're doing as far as other shows that could very well be in development for Star Trek. Starting with that Section 31 show with Michelle Yeoh. That's something we got to look forward to, and we can give our fan fiction versions of that. Also, we have oh gosh, what's the other? Starfleet Academy. And I was wondering, if that show was going to ever come off, but it looks like it is. And hopefully, Mary Wiseman will play a part in that. not necessarily staying there. I would like to see her back with Discovery, but we do know that she just had a baby or she's still expecting. So that was why she made that exit off of Discovery. That was our real world why, but in universe why she was going to Starfleet Academy to teach. So hopefully they find a way to put her in that series as well, especially if they base it in the same time period, because they need all of these new recruits to I guess to refill the roles of Starfleet, because there were a lot of people lost during the burn where separation. So there was that, and then the third one, they only said that there were a possibility of it being an anthology series, kind of like the Planet of the Week stuff that we got for Star Trek, or it would be a reboot of Enterprise. And my question was yesterday, like, I don't know how they would do a reboot of Enterprise, but if they did it, I'd be here for it. But I could see them, everybody going in their separate directions, and something happens that calls them back, where they would all have to be in the same place. We know Archer ended up being the president of the Federation, the first president of the Federation. So could that be a way to bring everybody together? And besides Trip, unless they bring him back from the dead, because I wouldn't even be against that. I didn't like the way he went out. You said the far future can fill in crews with holograms and androids, and they can. But you see that there are a lot of human recruits. We saw that in Discovery. Remember when they gave the speech to those recruits? So they'll need somebody to teach them. Yeah, but you're right. Could be, and they're inconsistent with the way they want to do holograms, because just like they had Stamets, hologram Stamets flying with real book, going trying to get close to the anomaly so that they can see if the what am I word am I looking for? Yeah, they're trying to see if they can get the gosh, why am I losing myself with that one word? But anywho, the readings, yes, they needed some readings from that doggone anomaly. Why couldn't they have just sent a hologram book and a hologram Stamets? They were both able to touch things. Things were able to move things around and everything. So why would you need why would you need real book on that ship if he could have remotely piloted it and just had a hologram on there? So anywho, uh, Thomas said, "Look at Star Trek Lower Decks. You can bring anyone back from the dead." Yep. The only person I don't think we saw come back, was there anybody like Dax, original Dax? We didn't see her come back, right? As far as main characters go, we got Ezri, but we didn't get the original Jadzia back. That's the only person I think stayed dead. Like we never saw any version of them again, except for the symbiote. Yeah. But everybody else, had a little brush with death and came on back. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. And Tasha, yar! Oh gosh. She died, and then look how many different ways we saw her though. They saw the alternate universe or alternate timeline Tasha. We saw her daughter come back with her whole face. So yeah, even Tasha showed back up. So yeah. I think I'm done for today, guys. I'm not gonna hold you guys up for too much longer. Unless you guys got anything else that you want to add to today's conversation. Uh but it was fun. And it always is. I always enjoy it. I always learn something on the Star Wars front. And we have good conversations on the Star Trek front. So you said the first time John Luke went to a fascist timeline. I'm trying to think of which episode. He went to a fascist timeline. I can't remember. I can't remember. But I do know that dude, he died a couple times too. He died a few times. I mean, John Luke. Yeah, so shucks. I can't wait for Picard either. We got 1 month, a little under a month. I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah, it is 1 month. Yeah. And yeah. Excuse me. I did. I did enjoy Stargate, and I will try to pick it back up again and rewatch it. That's not one, Star Trek. I've probably watched every series more than once except for Voyager, and now I need to get back into watching Voyager again. And then Stargate, yeah, I watched it once for sure. Oh, and Clone Wars, and I got this crazy list of stuff. Like, if I would have started watching what's on this list, I would have gotten to some Cad Bane episodes, and I would have not probably been as terrified as I was when I saw him in Book of Boba. Because let me tell you, that was horrifying to me. I'm sitting here like I'm moving my head trying to see, well, who is this? And I tilted my head, and that face looked up, and oh my god, shit. I'm like, they didn't tell me this thing was possible. This thing is so ugly. Yeah, he's a scary looking dude. And I hear that he really hates the Empire. So at least he's not playing on that side of the fence. I'm sorry, all the yawning. I'm still having sleep problems. You said terrified was the perfect response. That's what I was. Oh gosh, because I really, he had his hat down over his face. It was like he knew he was ugly. Oh gosh. You said he worked for the Empire and they did him dirty. Oh, okay. So once upon a time he would have worked for, but then they messed him up. He like, look, I don't like nobody who messed with the Empire. So yeah, I can't wait to see how that one ends. Book of Boba, we got that one episode left, and then we're gonna start back with Discovery, and we got to figure out who else we gonna put in here with Discovery. I'm excited. Um, I don't know which one I'm more excited for though. Am I more excited to see how this anomaly thing plays out, or would I be more excited to see how Prodigy ends? And I mean like the next 10 episodes. And Picard starts on March 3rd. Yes. And I am ready for it because the trailers are just looking more and more amazing. When the little stills that they have released, they look amazing. They don't fill in gaps, they ask more questions. Because like there was a picture that Picard had of the Enterprise in some kind of war, but it didn't appear to be the Borg war. I'm not 100%. I'm gonna have to look at it again, because I'm still trying to figure out what's happening. And I'm gonna tell you, I had a crazy theory. I might come in tomorrow at about like around this time, like maybe around 6 o'clock tomorrow, and share my Picard theory, and then you guys can help me craft it to see if I'm on to something. because I've been working on that one for some time. My thoughts on Picard. But yeah, other than that, I've got nothing else. Abe Thomas and anybody else who's been here and don't know, we do get together and we talk entertainment news. So we talk entertainment news on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. Uh, we talk entertainment news on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and we do stream something this here show on Sundays, and you can come back and be a part of the conversation whenever you like. You've made it very fun today to talk to you. And good night, Angus. And you guys have a fantastic evening. I hope to see everybody here again. Take care of yourselves. And tomorrow, if look, keep your eye open on Facebook or YouTube for me to put a notice up that I am going to come in and try to articulate this theory, because it's crazy. It is crazy, but I might just be on to something. So you guys join me here. Let me know. It's been fun, and I will talk to you in the next time. Good night. Peace.